All right, so have you ever thought about this? Like, why is there so much bad stuff in the world? Especially there's supposed to be some kind of, benevolent force up there running the show.
Yeah, it's one of those questions, right?
It's a question that's been around forever.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Philosophers, theologians, everybody's been trying to figure that out.
And that's what we're diving into today. We've got all these excerpts, some from philosophy, some from religious texts, all dealing with this idea of evil, how it shapes how we see ourselves, even the possibility of, like, a perfect world.
A big one, yeah.
Yeah, big questions.
Hmm.
Okay, so one of the sources we're looking at today just comes right out and says it. Wishing for a world without evil. Kind of naive,
Oh, wow, okay.
right? It even goes as far as to say, wanting a world without evil, it means you don't get what it means to be human. It's a little harsh. What do you think?
Strong words, for sure, but it makes you think, right? Maybe there's more to it than just wishing evil away. This source, they're saying evil might not be a mistake, but like a fundamental part of the universe tied to our ability to choose.
So you're saying, like, free will is the key here.
Exactly. The idea is humans having free will, that ability to make choices, it inherently means we can choose good or bad. Can't have one without the other, according to this.
Okay, so to really have free will, to make choices that matter, you have to have the option to choose badly.
That's what this source seems to be saying.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
It's a heavy idea. Our capacity for evil is right there, intertwined with our capacity for love, compassion, all the good stuff, too. Makes you think.
It really does. So this source even goes so far as to say, imagine a world without evil. You're basically imagining a world without humans getting to make any real choices.
Right, because if all our choices were predetermined, would it even really be our choice? Would that even be a world we'd want?
It's true. It means you think about the trade-offs. Would we even know what good was if we didn't have bad to compare it to? It's like, you wouldn't know how amazing it feels to win if you never lost.
Right, it gives it context. One defines the other.
Exactly. Okay, so a world completely without evil. Maybe not possible. But what about the idea of trying to create a better world, one where good is more prevalent? That gets me thinking about this next source and this idea of Jannah. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's a big concept.
Could you break it down for those of us who might not know? What does Jannah actually mean?
Basically, in Islamic tradition, Jannah is often translated as paradise. But it's more than just a place you go after you die. It's about achieving perfect peace and harmony, both in the afterlife and by striving to live righteously here and now.
So it's not just about getting into some heavenly place after we die, but about trying to live in a way that reflects those values now.
Exactly. Making choices that align with what you believe to be morally right, like every day.
It reminds me of that Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Like, don't just wait for a perfect world to magically appear. Actually do something to make it happen.
Definitely. It's about action, about taking responsibility.
Totally. And it's interesting because even with Jannah, with this focus on doing good, there's also this acknowledgement that it's not all on us.
You were talking about the Hadith?
Yeah, exactly. It's like even the Prophet Muhammad, even his salvation depends on God's mercy, not just his actions.
Right. It's acknowledging that even in our best efforts, we're not in total control. There's something bigger than us at play.
Wow, okay. So we've got this idea that maybe evil just comes with the territory of free will, but we also have this idea of working towards a better world. But it's not just a checklist of good deeds. It's deeper than that.
It really is. It makes you think about our place in all of this. Like, where do we fit in with all this talk of good and evil, free will, destiny, all of it? It's a question that keeps coming up, In so many different cultures, belief systems, they all seem to be wrestling with this idea of free will and what it means for us.
And how it connects to this whole good versus evil thing.
Exactly. And speaking of these Quran verses we've got, they offer a really interesting take on this whole thing, especially that story of Adam.
Oh yeah, with the angels.
Yeah, God creates Adam, right, gives him knowledge, puts him in charge of earth, and the angels, they are not happy about it.
They're freaking out. They even ask God, like, are you sure about this? You're going to put someone in charge who might just mess everything up.
Will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and sheds blood? That's what they ask, straight up.
Yeah, like, hello, warning signs. But God goes ahead anyway. Knowing the risks still creates humans with the ability to choose.
Knowing they might mess up.
So it's like God is saying, I believe in you guys, even though you might screw it up.
Trusting in the potential for good, even with the risk of bad.
It's kind of a beautiful thought, in a way. But it brings us back to that idea of evil not being a mistake, just a consequence of giving beings free will.
Light and shadow, two sides of the same coin.
Okay, I'm seeing the through line here. So we've got the philosophical idea that evil might just be part of the deal when you've got free will. Then we've got this Islamic idea of Jannah, working towards a better world.
Striving for it, even if we never reach perfection.
Exactly. And now we're seeing how the Quran portrays it. God knows things might go wrong, but still chooses to create us with the potential for good.
And the Quran doesn't sugarcoat it either. It acknowledges that evil is real, that it's out there.
Right, like that verse about how corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea because of what people's own hands have wrought.
Exactly. We're not off the hook. Our choices have an impact.
So it makes that idea of working towards Jannah even more important. It's on us to make choices that make things better.
We're not just along for the ride. We have a role to play in all of this.
Okay, so for someone listening who's like, wait, I'm lost, what does it all mean? What's the takeaway here?
I think the biggest thing is you're not alone in wondering about all this. People have been trying to figure out this good versus evil thing for a long, long time.
It's kind of comforting in a way, right? We're all in this together.
For sure. And the good news is, in all that wondering and struggling, there's also this beautiful idea of hope. This idea that we can strive for better, even if perfection is impossible.
So where do we go from here? We've been talking about how free will is so important, but it comes with this whole possibility of evil.
It's a tough one, right? Free will makes us human, but it also opens the door to some bad stuff. But then again, it also lets us choose good, work towards something better.
It's like walking a tightrope. You've got darkness on one side, light on the other.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe that's the whole point, you know? Maybe we're not supposed to get rid of evil completely. I mean, we talked about how that might not even be possible. Maybe it's about learning to deal with it, learning to choose good, even when we see the bad stuff right in front of us.
So keep reaching for that Jannah, even if we never actually get there.
Maybe it's the striving that matters, that constant choice to move towards the good. And that makes me think, what do you think? What role do you think humans have in all this good and evil stuff? Do we have a responsibility to make things better, even if we know a perfect world isn't really possible?
That's a question we could spend a whole other deep dive on.
Definitely. It's big.
Feel overwhelming, you know? Like, how much of a difference can we really make?
It's true. But I think even small acts of kindness, small choices, they matter. It all adds up.
It's not about becoming some kind of superhero, just about trying to do the right thing day in and day out.
Exactly. Being kind to each other, fighting against injustice, even in little ways, it makes a difference.
So maybe what I'm taking away from all of this is, yeah, the world can be a tough place, but we've also got this amazing ability to do good, to love, to connect with each other. And maybe if we focus on that, if we keep striving for that, Jannah, even in our own small ways, maybe we can make things a bit brighter, one step at a time.
I like that. And you know, it reminds me of that quote from the Quran. Whoever does righteousness, it is for his own soul, and whoever does evil, it is against it.
It really comes down to choice, doesn't it?
It does, every single day.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those choices. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And until next time, remember to keep asking the big questions and keep striving for a better tomorrow.
See you next time.